Do you remember that?
I remember it. Well, I wasn't there, but I've learned about it. Yeah, this is the start of quantum physics.
Yeah, it predate 1900.
Right.
It predated Planck, Max Planck.
Oh, okay.
Because there was an equation that would show how much energy would come from glowing objects.
Okay.
And how much energy of a certain wavelength of light and then another wavelength. And so there'd be the spectrum of what it gives you.
Okay.
And if you follow that equation to higher and higher energies, it blows up. And it was called the ultraviolet catastrophe.
Nice.
Now, we knew that's not happening in the actual universe, but we had no theoretical understanding of why the actual universe was not doing what our equation said. So we knew something was missing.
Okay.
And
what was missing?
Max Planck comes along, finish the story.
Yes, and Max Planck comes along and he suggests an idea that he never fully believed. This is interesting. He suggests that maybe the energy only comes in packets of certain quantized sizes, and therefore your calculation of the amount of energy was biased by assuming that energy could come in arbitrarily large or small amounts. If you assume it only comes in packets of a minimum size, then the total energy inside that cavity
actually converges and drops off.
And it agrees with experiments.
Right.
But the weird thing is...
And he got an equation. The equation is like, holy shit, that this would come out of someone's head to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's got an exponential, and an exponential has interesting properties where it goes up and then it comes down again if it's a negative exponent. I mean, there's a fun math in there.
Exactly.
And was it just a fitting function, or did he actually have deep physics insight?
He had a model in mind. He really quantized the energy. He broke it up into little bits and redid the calculation, and that's what came out. But then later on, he never fully believed that energy in light, in photons, as we now call it, did come in little packets.
Right.
He said, sure, the math seems to describe it, but I'm not willing to go to that next step of ascribing a full reality to it. And so it's really Einstein who came along and came up with the idea of photons, more particularly with the photoelectric effect. And that's how he wins the Nobel Prize. Many people think he won the prize for special relativity or general relativity. No.
My boy could have had 8 Nobel Prizes. His Nobel Prizes are for what he's least famous for.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
but perhaps
that
the
just
most
means
impactful.
you're gangster. That's straight up.
But in terms of impact,
exactly.
There are people winning Nobel Prizes for discovering things that he predicted.
Right.
So if you add everything he predicted to the Nobel Prize count, plus what everything, if they gave out Nobel Prizes for everything you did, I give him 8 Nobel Prizes. What would you give him?
Well, certainly gravitational waves, although
That's
again,
right, which
he didn't fully believe it, but it comes right out of his 1916 and 1918
I'm saying
paper.
if you give him a Nobel Prize for everything people discovered based on his stuff.
Well, then it's kind of everything. I think.
Person's on the Nobel Prize receiving line. Nope, take it.
Right. It's like that Bugs Bunny first base, Bugs Bunny second base, Bugs Bunny third base. But every Nobel Prize is Albert Einstein.
That's the answer right there.
Yeah.
And so, of course, since if energy is quantized, thus is born the branch of physics called quantum physics. Quantum mechanics.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that probably has had the greatest impact on life as we know
And that was
it.
the year 1900.
Yeah. Well, 1905 is when Einstein writes his paper on the idea of photons, but Max Planck, you're right, was 1900.
Was clean 1900, starting a new century.
Yeah.
Before they even had calculators.
Oh, was that? Really? Was it that far back?
As you may know, we recently posted a video in response to Terence Howard's appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast where he discussed his interpretation of maths. And key points to take away from that are 1, we should critically analyze all the information we come across, and 2, be open to our views being challenged. Like this new study on dark matter being debunked, for example. It suggests the universe's expansion is not driven by dark energy, but by weakening forces of nature. Now, when it comes to new theories that challenge our accepted understanding of space, it's important to see how different scientific sources are interpreting these new findings to fully understand it. Luckily, Ground News makes this much easier to do. With the Vantage Plan, you get access to original research, plus every article covering it and even insight on each news publication's political bias and credibility. Context, that could influence their reporting. Their founder and former NASA engineer also designed their blind spot feed, which uses patented technology to help us easily step out of our echo chambers and see important news stories we might have otherwise missed. Exposing yourself to diverse perspectives helps ensure that you don't just know enough about an issue to think you're right, but you actually know enough to recognize when you might be wrong. So, avoid the Dunning-Kruger effect, get ground news, and critically analyze the information you consume, all for $5 a month if you use our link or scan the QR code. You're saving 40% on the same unlimited access Vantage plan you use with the discount. We really can't recommend Ground News and their commitment to rigorous analysis and combating misinformation enough. Having said all of that, let's get straight back to the show.
We're old enough to remember when the United States lost the most powerful collider in the world, the superconducting super collider, which there was money allocated. They started digging a hole. What was it, 200-mile circumference? There was some huge, and superconducting, it was going to use superconducting magnets, which had very powerful magnetic fields. And because that was coming of age at the time, it was going to push the frontier. My analysis, so if you read the report, well, there were cost overruns and so we have too many other priorities here. So we're going to zero the budget for this superconducting super collider. And you read the report and say, well, we have other priorities. Plus, this was going to be built in Texas. And if we're going to build the space station, which is based in Houston, Texas was already getting a chunk of change. You know when all this happened? Like, between 1989 and 1992, when the debates and then they zeroed the budget. What else was happening over those years? Let me think. Oh my gosh, peace broke out in Europe. No longer do we need the physicists to protect us from the evil, godless communists. That's what I think was the subtext of that story.
Damn you, Harmony.
Because no other particle accelerator was ever canceled for any reason that was designed, conceived, and built in the 20th century. So if you grant me one conspiracy theory, grant me that.
But then you think they kept the space station because that was the place where the new battles might be waged? I mean,
possibly.
Was that part of the
It's what we're looking at right now when you think about it.
Yeah, with the Space Force and everything else. So that's where I am on that. But I say this only to note that once that got canceled, the center of mass of particle physics went across the pond to Europe. And then CERN, the European Center for Nuclear Research?
Somewhere in there, yes.
It's a French acronym when the words are in the French order or something.
Gotcha.
It goes there. And I think our lawmakers don't really understand that if we don't do the physics, someone else can and will. We don't own all access to future discoveries of science. And so now Europe does it. And so they went ahead, built a large Hadron Collider, and they successfully found the Higgs boson, the big holy grail.
July 4th, 2012.
Look at that.
Was it July 4th? That's sticking it to us.
Wow,
look at that.
It really was.
And you know they really found it on like June 28th. You know they found it on June 28th, and they were like, guys, we're going to sit on this for a few days.
But there are a lot of Americans involved in the Large Hadron Collider. But just
true.
to say, but yes, exactly right.
Yeah, even Peter Higgs, is he American?
Peter Higgs was Scottish, I would think. I think he's from Edinburgh. Although I think he was at Edinburgh, but I don't think he was Scottish. Maybe he was English. I don't 100% know. But yeah, he predicted its existence, and then it was discovered. And at the announcement, saw tears welling in this man's eyes, who'd been waiting decades for this idea that at first nobody believed. Ultimately was accepted theoretically, but it was proven experimentally finally.
And what is the Higgs boson exactly?
Of the particle categories, one of them is bosons. Okay. And bosons are force mitigating particles.
Okay.
So, and when we think of a force action at a distance, there's a way to think about that in terms of the particle that in the category of particles is a boson. One of the bosons is this Higgs boson, which has what properties?
Well, it has
Wait, was I right?
Yeah, it's very good.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. We said I was very good.
Can I answer?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Please. Okay.
It's what endows other particles, even itself actually, with mass.
Interesting.
Now, where does that come from? Well, just to take Neil's idea, it starts with the idea of a field. That's how you get rid of this idea of action at a distance. You imagine that space is filled with stuff.
You know who invented fields?
I really don't.
Michael Faraday.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, that makes sense.
He was the first
well,
to
they
think
think
of
magnetic field.
and think what a leap that is.
Yeah, that
Huge.
is.
Yeah.
It's an insane leap.
Right,
We take it
there's
for
like
granted.
nothing
There's
there.
nothing
Right.
there.
Yeah. You're looking at nothing. You're seeing
And yet
nothing.
you're positing that there is something there.
there.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's an amazing thing. But he was talking electric and magnetic fields.
Right.
What Higgs is talking about is a new field called the Higgs field, which he didn't call it that, but that's what we call it. So it's this field that fills space, and as particles that otherwise would be massless, as they try to go through space, they have to burrow through the Higgs field.
Okay.
And that creates a kind of drag force on them, which is what imparts the mass that they have.
Okay.
And that's the field. Now, what's the particle? Well, if you have this field, in principle, if you hit it hard enough, like hitting the surface of water, you can cause little particles of the field to spray
Blast
out.
out, right.
And that's what the Large Hadron Collider did. It slammed proton against proton, and that way jostled the Higgs field and caused a little droplet of it to break free, and that's the Higgs
then we
particle.
got oh my God. So you're seeing an actual piece of the field.
Yes.
You're, my God.
So the Higgs field generated via E equals MC squared,
Yes.
its own particle of its own.
That's amazing.
That's right.
Of its own
the
DNA.
Or you can say it's a quanta, to go back to the other language, it's a quanta of the Higgs field, like the photon is the quanta of the
of the
electromagnetic
electromagnetic
field. Yes.
All right. That's
Ain't
amazing.
that some stuff.
So,
Okay, but
okay, now I get it. So it's not the particle that you're actually seeing. It's not the particle that is imbued with mass itself. It is the thing on which the particle is traveling, the field, the medium itself.
Right.
Boom, it kind of splashes apart for a quick second, and then that itself becomes a particle and has mass.
Yeah.
Holy
wait. So you know my.
That's amazing!
Wait, so you know
That is amazing!
Chuck just blew a gasket.
Oh my God, that's crazy! Dude, that is insane!
Call the doctors.
This is the first time I've actually really understood
Call the doctors.
that because, oh my God, that's so freaking crazy! Oh